Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
Well, so maybe we should back up and talk about why I feel the need to do updates in the first place.
That'd be great.
which is because of the tornado that came through Nashville. So, and let me back up one half step more. So I got this job because in December of 2017, having worked with this company, a gentleman who used to be part of the ownership team at TechnoAid basically was in town, asked me if I'd get together with him for breakfast one day. And so I went in not really knowing what to expect. And I walked out 2 hours later and I called my wife and I said, I think he wants me to be the president of the company. So I remember walking back to my car here in downtown Nashville. And I just said, hey, I think he wants me to be president of the company. And she said, can you do that? Which is the most reassuring thing you can ask for a wife, ask from a wife.
Serious vote of confidence.
And I was like, well, I mean, I think I can, but I've got some learning to do. And she's like, well, yeah, you do. And so like, oh, thanks, babe. So that all finally got finalized in February of 2018. Mid-February 2018 is when I dove in. And so TechnoAid is a 40-plus-year-old manufacturing company that's been servicing the medical imaging industry for decades now. It's grown, it's changed ownership several times over the decades, and it was ready for a fresh start, a fresh take on some things. And so the leadership team has been completely overhauled over the last, and specifically in the last year and a half or so, which has been really exciting to see what we can do and keep all of the best from what we used to do as a company, and then really try to upgrade some other places that were needed. So that was all very much well underway when March 3rd of 2020 came along. And I remember waking up that morning and I heard it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, I heard my phone buzzing, and which doesn't happen, most days. And so I didn't even know we had a tornado come through the night before.
I didn't either.
It wasn't in the forecast that night. I don't know if you remember. Like this, a lot of times we know tornadoes are coming through here in Nashville, and you kind of get those sleepless nights where you're up, kind of wondering, do I need to go take shelter? That was not one of those nights. It was not on my metaphorical radar, nor my literal radar. And so I was just like, what in the world's going on here? And so we have a friend who's a fireman who had been dispatched to that area. And he was texting with our VP of operations, and he said, our firefighter friend is a very direct, kind of non-emotional person. And so I was getting screenshots of the messages between them. And he just said, it was very short, like, your place got hit, it's gone. It was just, and then these grainy photos were, I was like, no. Like, this is, classic, like, there's no way. How does he even know where our building was and any of this? And so there was just instant denial of just like, wait a second, is that real? So over the next couple of hours, we did get confirmed that like our entire building just got smashed. We were right near John C. Toon Airport here in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
And so that's right where the tornado first hit in this area. That was the first before it hit that long stretch, all across Middle Tennessee. John C. Toon was a quarter mile away from us. And from what we can tell, we were right in that middle part of the tornado path. And I've never seen anything like it. I never thought I would see anything like that in real life, but to actually go look at that devastation and to see huge cinder block walls that have just fallen in, and to imagine that came along when nobody was expecting it. Yeah. And that it happened at 12:30 a.m. rather than 12:30 p.m. Because had we been there during a workday, there were chairs where people sit that were under mounds of cinder block. And so had that come along at a different time of day, we would have had injured employees. And I shudder to think, if it would have been worse than that. Yep. So that was just one of many, I would just say, it's ironically blessings of like we were blessed that nobody was there when that happened. We were blessed that we had started to shift our mindset and our mentality and our culture and our leadership prior to the tornado. Because if we hadn't have started to do that prior to the tornado, I don't think we would be bouncing back as quickly as we have. So here we are, almost 8 months since the tornado. We have a new location. We're almost completely moved in. We're just a few weeks away from our new office build out being completed. We have most of our manufacturing is all back. We're able to do it with better technology, more efficiently than we were before. And so there's just huge upside all over the place. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean it hasn't been a pain.
Right.
We've had some very long, hard days.
Yep.
But going back to, what we originally talked about is that persistent, just keep swimming, having leaders around me and having been able to sort of pick the folks who I'm with, then we can spread this kind of out through the organization. When you're looking at a hole in the ground that used to be your business, the people who you have with you really matter a lot. So when you think about your hiring choices, when you think about those, like when you have people you've got to lean into. And so I feel completely blessed and amazed that we've got the team that we have.
Yeah, because at that point you have your customer base, you have your brand, and you have your people. And the rest is gone.
Yes.
For context, how many square foot were you in by John C. Toon Airport?
We were in a manufacturing office facility that was, I believe, 45,000 square feet.
Wow, so fairly large.
Mm-hmm.
And was this owned or leased?
It was leased.
It was leased. And
yes.
Did insurance... I'm assuming your manufacturing company, your building got blown in, so there's at least, weeks where you're not manufacturing anything?
Yeah, so...
Or months. And did insurance cover this, or how
insurance,
do you weather that?
Well, if you have the right insurance, it can be very helpful. And so I got to... Listen, I have never thought in my life, I would say that I was as thankful for insurance as I am. I would never have thought I would love an insurance guy as much as I love Mike Thomas. Mike, if Mike's listening.
With who? With Mike Thomas?
Mike's his own guy.
Really?
Mike's his own thing.
What's the agency name?
I don't even know what
Mike
Mike's agency name is, because
okay.
Mike
he's
is like
personal,
he's just like he is the insurance cowboy. He'll swoop in and save the day. So he's been great. He helps us with all of our corporate insurance. He made sure that we were well covered years before I ever came along. He'd been around the company. So he helped us out a ton, even through this process. He's helped us out. And so I think that's where the decisions that you make in partners and leaders, in what insurance do you really feel like you should be paying for or shouldn't be paying for? Mm-hmm. That's when you are staring at a hole in the ground, that's where all of that really, it matters.
For sure.
And so again, there are loads of blessings,
mm-hmm.
within that. And which is a weird thing to say. We were saying that, just my leadership team and me, we were saying that within 24 or 48 hours of the tornado coming through. One of our VP of operations, Aaron, his house became our office for a short period of time.
Oh, wow.
His kitchen table, much to his wife's chagrin, although Mary, his wife, was great. But, it was like that was home base for us for a little bit until we got some temp space.
Yeah.
And we talked, I just remember sitting in his living room, probably 2 days after the tornado, and our heads are still spinning in many respects, but saying, guys, could this perhaps be the best thing that's ever happened to us? Like, can we use this and not replicate things that we would have wanted to get rid of in the old situation? Lean into the good stuff, change things that we want to change. This is a massive catalyst to make change. It lets us shed some cultural baggage. It lets us shed some process baggage, and we're starting fresh, but we know enough to know what not to do.
Yeah.
So let's go. And
where is the building now, and how big?
So we moved into about a 60,000 square foot space over in Whites Creek, Tennessee.
Okay.
So it's just right up I-24. It's about a dozen minutes from downtown Nashville.
Okay. So the people that were driving into the old location and driving into the new location, no one had to lose their job or anything like that. It's not that the distance is far enough away.
The distance works out great.
And that is a great way to look at it, most certainly. Because you can't, at that point, you're not going to change whether it happened or not. So you may as well move on, and there's no sense in crying over spilled milk. And of course,
what was great was in talking to some of the ownership team for our company, one of the guys confessed after we were a couple weeks into it. A couple weeks afterwards, he said, Bill, I knew that we were going to be okay when I realized that you and the rest of the management team wasn't curled up in the fetal position,
right.
In the corner.
Yeah.
And he said, because that's an option.
Yeah.
Now, I would say that was not an option that ever crossed my mind, and that's frankly not an option that ever crossed our management team's mind.
Yeah.
But if you stop and think about it for a second, it is possible that you can assess all of that. You can see all the damage. You can see the work. You can anticipate all the work that's coming, and just close up.
Yeah, most certainly. There was a lady on here a couple weeks ago, Candace Bruder from New York City. She was in downtown New York when 9/11 happened, and she noticed 3 types of people: people that froze, people that just cried, and people that just got to work, got it done.
Yep.
You have to. You just rise above it. You got to keep swimming. This comes back to your swimming point, which is going to become a little bit of a theme.